and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new episode of Africa Today, where we get you the latest news and events taking place on the African scene. And we will start off with our major top stories and reports. The World Health Organization said that a third wave of COVID-19 infections in Africa has stabilized, with 248,000 cases reported in the last week, while vaccines administered over the same period tripled to 13 million compared to the previous week. We have more details.
The World Health Organization said that a third wave of COVID-19 infections in Africa has stabilized and the continent's slow vaccination drive has picked up pace. The WHO's regional director said that some 248,000 new cases were reported in the past week, down from 282,000 in mid-July, while the number of vaccinations tripled to 13 million. Africa, with a population of 1.3 billion, has experienced a third wave of infections since May, straining health systems in countries from South Africa to Tunisia, Zambia and Senegal, where vaccination rates are far lower than in Europe and North America. COVAX, the donor scheme co-led by the WHO to purchase vaccines for poorer countries, initially hoped to vaccinate 20% of people in Africa this year, but it has been plagued by delays. The WHO now hopes to vaccinate 10% of people in Africa by the end of September. The WHO's regional director said that 117 million doses are due to arrive in the coming month, and up to 34 million additional doses will be needed to reach that target.
Welcome back. I'm still with our special reports. Chancellor Angela Merkel said that Germany will make up to 70 million doses of COVID-19 vaccine available to African countries this year, more than doubling a previous pledge to donate 30 million. We have more details on this report.
Chancellor Angela Merkel said Germany will make up to 70 million doses of COVID-19 vaccine available to African countries this year, more than doubling a previous pledge to donate 30 million. South African President Ramaphosa said African leaders told the summit it is not fair that Africa has vaccinated only 2% of their 1.3 billion population, and yet the more developed countries in the north have vaccinated up to 60%. Merkel said she was confident that there could be a transfer step by step of the technology to allow production of COVID-19 vaccines in Africa. Meanwhile, Ramaphosa thanked Merkel for championing the G20 Compact with Africa. Launched in 2017 under Germany's G20 presidency, the compact promotes private investment in Africa, aiming to ease the poverty which, along with political instability and violence, had encouraged large numbers of Africans to head for Europe. Merkel, in power since 2005, plans to stand down after Germany's federal election on September 26th.
Welcome back, dear viewers, and we're joined over the phone by Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former assistant to the Foreign Minister. Good afternoon, Mr. Ambassador.
Good afternoon, how are you?
How are you, sir? Ambassador Bayoumi, Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli held a meeting today at Vaccera. He stated that Egypt will produce vaccines for the African continent. How do you see Egypt's efforts regarding the COVID-19 vaccines?
It is very good that, of course, as you well know, that Egypt has a pharmaceutical industry which we are exporting our products everywhere in the world, and now we are knocking the doors of Africa. But here we have an Egyptian interest. It's not the matter that we are sending these vaccines to Africa as help, but we are helping ourselves also, because the disease, if you fight it anywhere, you are fighting it for those countries who are benefiting from your vaccine, and also you are protecting yourself, because the epidemic gave us a lesson that no country in the world are in a position to avoid this invasion of such a disease. So this is a very good step. Also, that Egypt proves that its presence in Africa is always welcomed. Egypt is the most acceptable pace in the African continent. We were chairing or presiding the African Union a couple of years ago. So we are there. We shall do whatever it takes in order to help our brothers in Africa and to help ourselves at the same time.
Brutal resurgence driven by the Delta variant is further stretching already strained health systems across the continent. How do you assess the current status of the spread of the COVID-19 in the African continent?
Thank God that in Egypt we are in a better position, whether fighting the disease itself or fighting problems on the economic side.
Yes.
And Egypt is one of very rare countries which will continue its development in a positive figure. Most of the countries of the world are suffering from this disease and its impact on the economy. Mm-hmm. And many countries, the majority of the whole world will be having a diminished economy. Egypt is continuing by growing positively, and of course this is a very good experience. We have to share it with our brothers, whether in Africa or our partners, even in Europe. And we shall continue doing this. Concerning the fighting the disease itself, we have to do the utmost we can do. And we have the Egyptian Fund for Cooperation in Africa, and we have many experts, especially in the medical dimension, and we can use them also in order to be there, in order to help the whole communities. And let us wait and see, because I'm here optimistic that we are in a much better situation than anybody else, and we can share this experience with many brotherly countries.
Yes. Well, sir, a report by the WHO showed that COVID-19 vaccinations in Africa tripled over the past week, though protecting even 10% of the continent by the end of September remains a very daunting task. How do you view this?
We hope to reach this goal, and it's sort of not a very big goal. We hope we exceed this figure, because as I said, it's for our benefit also that we stop any spreading of the disease. And we, as Egypt and all the friendly countries of the whole world, will support us doing that. A few minutes ago, you were talking about Germany helping Africa in this concern. The
Yes.
World Bank is doing the same, the IMF is doing the same. So it is a whole world effort in order to fight this battle, where we are all fighting together and benefiting together.
Yes. Well, sir, Chancellor Angela Merkel said that Germany will make up to 70 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines available to African countries this year. Now, how do you see Germany's stance compared to other European countries?
Of course, Germany, as you well know, is the largest economy in Europe and one of the largest economies of the world. And they are really, we appreciate their efforts always, and they help everywhere. And Egypt is one of the largest beneficiaries of the economic cooperation of Germany. And you can see it everywhere. You can see it in the field of electricity, in the field of telecommunications, everywhere. And here now, Germany is coming in the field of health. And we are ahead of many countries concerning this. And the World Bank is helping us in order to ameliorate the situation in the health services in Egypt. All these experiences can be put under the request of any other country in order to help all the countries we have relations and to benefit from our experience, which is really a good treasure for everybody.
Yes. Ambassador Bayoumi, Africa will receive 117 million doses in the coming month, but an additional 34 million will be needed to reach the 10% vaccination target. In your opinion, what's the best way for African nations to reach this target?
Of course, this is good news, but not good enough, because 170 million is a little bit more than 10% of the whole continent.
Yes.
We are talking about 1,200 million inhabitants in Africa. They need much more than what is going on. But let us confess that every country is doing its best. Of course, we are trying to protect ourselves, and we are helping others after that. And whatever is being done, I believe that every country is doing its best, and no country will hide its efforts from the others.
Yes.
So this is a sort of a good example of international cooperation to fight a disease which is threatening everybody everywhere in the world.
Well, I would like to thank you very much, Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former assistant to the Foreign Minister. Many thanks for your insights, sir. Well, dear viewers, and moving back to our special reports, the UN was trying to get investigators into the war-torn Afar region of northern Ethiopia to gather evidence about the reported deaths of about 200 civilians sheltered at a makeshift refugee center last week. We have more details in this report.
The United Nations was trying to get investigators into the war-torn Afar region of northern Ethiopia to gather evidence about the reported death of about 200 civilians sheltering at a makeshift refugee center last week. Joe English, a spokesman for the United Nations Children's Agency, said that they had received credible information about an attack in the tiny hamlet of Galikoma Kebeli last Thursday and were sending investigators to the scene as soon as it was safe. Government allied troops and rebels from the nearby Tigray region clashed in the area in recent days. Each side has accused the other of committing atrocities amid fears that Ethiopia is spiraling into an all-out civil war. Mr. English said that UNICEF received credible information from partners about attacks last Thursday at a camp for internally displaced people in Afar region that was sheltering people displaced from recent clashes. According to reports, more than 100 children and a similar number of adults were killed in attacks on a school and a health clinic that were being used as shelters for those displaced in recent bouts of fighting. A stockpile of food was also reportedly destroyed. United Nations spokesman said the health clinic and school may have been shelled, but did not indicate if the artillery has been fired by Tigrayans rebels and government forces, local Afar militants, or another armed groups. The Tigrayans' rebel advance into Afar has forced about 76,000 people to flee their homes. Ethiopia is rapidly descending into civil war, with Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed urging civilians to take up arms and Tigrayan rebels joining up with another Ethiopian dissident faction, the Omoro Liberation Army.
لدينا مصير مشترك.
مصر تسلمت الرئاسة الدورية للاتحاد الإفريقي لعام 2019 وتتطلع كعادتها دوما للتعبير عن شواغل الشعوب الإفريقية الشقيقة الرامية لتحقيق الاستقرار والتقدم ودفع عجلة التنمية قدما.
إذا كنتم ترغبون في تغيير وجه القارة الأفريقية، فالاتحاد الإفريقي كقيادة تستطيع أن تعمل وتدرس بشكل مركزي لمشروع عملاق لبناء بنية أساسية على مستوى القارة. أنا أتصور أن الأمن والاستقرار استثمار. إذا لم تستقر هذه القارة والأمن فيها بمعدلاته عالية، هذا الأمر سينعكس بالسلب علينا كلنا.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. That brings us to the end of this edition of Africa Today. Many thanks for watching and stay tuned for more coming up here on Nile TV International.